D. McClung, Art Monologues. This is the show the mindbenders warned you about. Oh, yeah. Consider something. Take this into consideration. Think about this for a minute. Let's be reasonable. Yeah, let's be reasonable. Let's be reason-able. And let's put ourselves in the mode for thinking like rational, logical, intelligent human beings. Let's be reasonable. And let's be learn-able. I don't know where I'd be today. Now, I'll probably have a clue. But I don't know where I'd be today if it wasn't for the fact that I have a brain that functions on a level of shall we say, intelligence. That I am learn-able. In other words, I can learn. I'm able to learn. And that's good, because if it wasn't for being able to learn, I would not have learned anything. I would have been dumb, ignorant, and pretty much dysfunctional as a human being. You have to learn, and you have to be able to learn in order to mature and grow as a human being. If you can't learn, you're stuck, knowing nothing. Now, it bothers me that in America, and I try to focus on America for the most part because I don't really know what it's like to, say, live in China, or I don't know enough, let's say, about people who live in Spain. And this is interesting. Now that I think about it, I hardly ever hear about Spain. In fact, I don't remember the last time I've heard about Spain. That's a large country. And millions of people live there. And I really don't remember hearing about anything having to do with anything about Spain lately. I can't even recall the last time I've heard anything about Spain. And, you know, to be honest with you, it's almost like I forgot all about Spain even existing. We hear about a lot of countries, you know. We're always hearing things in the news, for example, about, you know, Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and China and Russia, and certainly we hear about England, United Kingdom. We hear about France because of the massacres and stuff that went on there not too long ago. We hear about Cuba, Venezuela. I heard about Venezuela just yesterday. Another country we don't hear much about is Peru. I don't know the last time that Peru was in the news for anything. For any reason. I mean, like, well, let's go back to Spain. When was the last time you heard about a terrorist attack occurring in Spain? Now, maybe I just forgot. Maybe there was one or something, and I just don't remember, which is possible. I would think that I probably would have remembered if there was a terrorist attack of any magnitude in Spain lately. Like, let's just say within the last year or two. I don't particularly want to trust my memory back like 10 or 12 years or 20 years, because, you know, I don't know, maybe that's a long time ago. So anyway, Just a curious thought there, an observation. I'm just assuming, since I haven't heard about any terrorist attacks in Spain, that Spain is doing pretty good and not really having a whole lot of problems with terrorists, as it were. Then again, maybe Spain isn't sponsoring terrorism. You know, like the United States and Israel. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. United States government sponsors terrorism. Really, it does. This is not my opinion, by the way. The facts are the facts. The truth is the truth. The evidence is obvious. There's no question. And this is something that bothers me about Americans. Oh, I gotta have my opinion. You know, no, you don't. No, you don't. You need to shut your face and listen and learn. Unless you're not learnable, in which case you won't learn, and it's kind of pointless to even mess with you. It's sort of like you're like a lump on a log, and, you know, you're irrelevant. Except maybe you might have violent tendencies. Because people who are unlearnable, it's sort of a characteristic of people who are unlearnable, and I'm not going to go there with the other word. So, okay, relax. Maybe later in the show I will use the actual word that stands for that or represents that concept or condition of the human being, some human beings. I'll remind you here at this point, as coming up on 7 minutes into the show, this is the show that the mindbenders warned you about. Because on this show, I express an occasional opinion, because I'm kind of opinionated, to say the least. But, mostly, a very high double-digit percentage of what I say, express, is not my opinion, but rather a critical, analytic observation. CAO, for short. And combine that with calculated, logical conclusions. CLC. And what that means is, well, I think if you know English, if you understand what the words are that I just said, you understand what the word calculated means. And if you don't, there's the dictionary. Logical. Calculated, logical, conclusion. Logical. If you don't know what logic is, probably too late for you. Now, I know, I've actually had conversations with people who said, oh, I'm not going to go with that logic thing, I'm going to go with faith. Really? Those kind of people, you kind of think, well, they're not learnable, and you're not going to be reasonable with them, because they're just not going to be reason-able. They're going to be like bumps on a log. Now, I hate to say things like that, because I hear a lot of this stuff, social media and stuff. You get into these arguments and debates and discussions and stuff. Oh, by the way, the word discussion means debate, so it's pretty much, you can use the word either way. I mean, either word. And I I used to. I don't anymore. Well, not much, because it's just pointless, and I'm not going to waste my time. I've got important things to do with the rest of my life, which is not all that going to be that long. I mean, hell, I'm almost 70 years old. How much time do I have? I've got good genes, so theoretically I've got a few years yet. And I might even live long enough to see the next president. I mean the next real one. Because the one we have now is like surreal. I'm sorry, I just hearing the phrase President Donald Trump is how do I put it? Surreal. It's like, what? Twilight Zone. But then again, reality. Who's living in the White House? Oh, I guess some guy named Donald Trump. Now, I'm not a hump trader. I'm not a Trump hater person at this point. Not yet. I mean, I haven't jumped to any conclusions or made any presumptuous conclusion or whatever yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's like just a lunatic. I mean, that's probably pretty obvious, I would think. If you don't know what the word lunatic means, you might want to look it up in the dictionary. But I think he's a lunatic. I'm not going to do like protest outside the White House. I'm not going to, be involved in these insane rioty things that are going on because he was, he is the president. I'm not going to say elected because then people want to argue about that. Okay, so the fact is he was elected. If you want to get into conspiracy theories and stuff, you can say, he was put in office by the, elitists or the New World Order manipulators of the human race kind of thing. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that they didn't, but I'm not saying that I don't know. See, I don't have any information to back that up at this point. I could probably suggest that, say, George Bush and Obama were put into office by powers that are somewhat invisible to us, but we sure as hell didn't elect the motherfuckers. Yep, I said motherfuckers. Now maybe we did. See, I don't want to talk about elections and whether they're actually honest elections or whether they were just a facade to cover up the controllers of the world, putting someone in office that they wanted in office because, we don't have any control over this world anymore. We don't have any, well, we never did, actually, because before we were actually, confused free people, we were serfs and peons and, slaves and shit. Some people think that hasn't changed, that we're still serfs, smurfs, peons, and slaves. And, I'm not going to refute that. I have no evidence to prove that that's not true. Well, I don't have any evidence to prove it is true, I guess. Really, not really. Kinda, maybe. Actually, there is possibly some evidence. But that's beside the point. So if you're not learnable, learnable, then you're just not going to learn. And it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anybody says. You're just going to be like a lump. I mean, you might walk around, you might eat, you might shit, you might even fuck a little, you might jerk off. You might get your tongue pierced. God, the things people will do. It's amazing. I'm sorry, but I'm like observing people's behavior, and I'm like, why would you put a hole in your tongue? And the worst case scenario, why did you split your tongue, and so now you have a forked tongue, like with two ends to it. It's like, why would any sane person do that to their tongue? Unbelievable. And then, then we, keeping in mind that there are people like primitives. I'll just name a couple of kinds of people, which this may or may not apply to. But let's say pygmies or aborigines or primitives or old-fashioned, not old-fashioned, you know what I'm talking about, like natives that of the dark skin complexion type that live in, say, South America or even Africa. I believe there were some people called Aborigines living in Australia. All of these people are being threatened by probably white guys from white countries, white people countries. Anyway, learnable. Now, just imagine, you're living in this village. I mean, you were just out walking around in the jungle one day in South America, and you run into this village of naked people. I can't tell you the names of some of these, like the Samwambwas or the Wabababans or Habababans or midgets or pygmies or whatever. And I don't mean to any disrespect for those people. And I'm not making fun of them because they're people. And they live pretty much like people, but not like us people, so to speak. They're them instead of us. This also holds true with the people in America that are like people, like us, the masses, kind of as they say, or the citizenry, and then you have them, like in the government, and the controllers, and the manipulators, and the social engineers, and the political hacks, and so on. Them, the New World Order kind of thing, as opposed to us peons and slaves and ordinary people. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand me here. I'm not saying I'm an ordinary person, because I'm not. I'm definitely not ordinary. And I'm certainly not common, and I'm not even going to go, I don't have any mediocre tendencies whatsoever, perhaps, maybe. Yeah. I'm not going to swear that I don't, but I mean, I could make the statement, I'm a mediocre brain surgeon. Could. Probably won't, because, well, who would want me to do brain surgery on them? What stupid person would, oh yeah, do brain surgery on me, because I got a brain tumor, and you can, screw into my skull and take it out of there with your bare hands. No, I'm going to guess that anybody who wants me to do brain surgery on their brain inside their skull is probably a fool. I mean, really. I mean, that'd just be irresponsible for someone to say that to me. Hey, can you break open my skull and do brain surgery on me? No. Well, in the first place, I can't. In the second place, I won't. And in the third place, I'm probably not really able when it comes to being a brain surgeon. There's some sort of mental block there that's going to say, D, don't go there. Just don't do that. Don't learn how to do that, because maybe you might have to do it sometime, and people say, hey, do it because you're a doctor, and I'm like, I don't wanna. It's an emergency and you're the only one here. Well, guess what? You're gonna die. It's sort of like Tonto and the Lone Ranger. Lone Ranger says, hey, snake bit me on my pecker. Suck the poison out, Tonto. Tonto say, Kimosabi gonna die. Yeah, because of reasons. And you know what I'm talking about. But Tonto, you love me. Anyway, there is some question about that. Two guys living by themselves, mostly out in the woods and on the, sleeping outside in the. How does he maintain a white outfit, Lone Ranger? He wears his light white stuff, white hats, white shirt, white pants. Probably even has white boots on. I don't know. How does he and he rides a white horse? Is that true? Really? And how does he maintain? How does that How does that outfit of total white stay white? That's just a little bit of magic there in the TV show, for example, when Lone Ranger was out. You know, he's doing some wrestling and stuff, and his hat doesn't even fall off. And he never misses when he shoots someone's gun right out of their hand. I mean, like bang, bang, both, you know, right out of their hand. How do they do that? How do they do that? That's just damn good shooting, boy. Especially on the TV show. Shoot a guy, bam, right in the chest. And like, guess what? No blood. And if you look close, you'll see that there's not even a hole. There's not even a bullet hole in the bad guy's shirt. Not very real, is it? But back in the 50s, they had a problem with blood on the TV. Oh, we can't show blood, and we can't show belly buttons either. Wow, how things have changed. I mean, you watch a movie today, and if you don't see blood, it's probably not a very good action film. I mean, I've seen some pretty gross, bloody movies, and they're like, ew, yuck. But since I have seen them, I can't unsee them. And I'm not saying that that's cool. A lot of those kind of movies we see, or if they're made by Americans, are movies that sort of say, like, I'm a white guy and I'm wearing a white hat and I'm a good guy. I'm the good guy and everybody else is the bad guy, and bam, 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 and they're dead, and, you know, I'm a hero. Even though that's totally unrealistic. You know, it's like watching a TV show and you think, yeah, it's entertaining, it's an amusement, and it's a distraction from my problems and reality and stuff. Let's watch the show. And then, you know, I could name a few. Let's say one that I remember here is called NCIS. Now, it's an entertaining show, and there's a lot of camaraderie, and there's some amusement there about human interactions, and some realistic, some not so realistic, but they run across a bad guy, and I've got a better one. And anyway, they run across a bad guy, and you know, all of a sudden, all that highfalutin, I believe in freedom and all that, and human rights kind of goes out the window sometimes. I can name several shows like that. Law and Order, for example, and certainly that show called Law and Order what's it called? CSI, Special Victims Unit. Special Victims Unit, SVU. I had to stop watching that show because it was an interesting show, and they had some interesting stories, and it showed some interesting human activity and interactions and stuff, and you know, it's probably taken right out of the American mainstream, but I had to stop watching it because they got absolutely fucking insane, and it just burns my ass. Because, you know, they're using this TV show to brainwash and indoctrinate and condition people. Like the word law enforcement comes in there. Like, every time I hear someone say that, it's like, I just want to slap them. Because, why? Because law enforcement is a Taliban thing, you know? I mean, like, if you're in, you know, Iraq, or well, I'll say Afghanistan before the United States destroyed that country and murdered tens of thousands of people who were pretty much minding their own damn business. Before that happened, there were like Taliban, you know, walking down the street. I'm a Taliban guy. I'm a Taliban guy. Oops, there's a woman, and she's out in public without a man, or she's not covering her face up totally with her burqa or whatever. And you know, go over there, and Taliban guy, you know, you're there's a law against that. You can't be doing that out in public like that, walking around like a human being, you know, but you're all covered with your black burqa and shit, and you're not wearing it, and it's a little too short. I can see your shoe tops or something, and like whack, 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 you know, and the guy, Taliban guy, just beats the crap out of the bitch. I mean, the woman. Sorry about that. got caught up. Anyway, and he just beats the crap out of her right there on the street, like, I'm the law. And you broke the law, and I'm just going to beat you, and then we're going to take you over there in the square, and we're going to stone you to death, because we want to. So I liken the Taliban to the anti-witch crusade, the murderous, stupid, retarded, ignorant, ridiculous, absurd, just absolute outrageous concept of, oh, there are witches. Let's scarf one up and strip her naked and torture her and rape her a few times and then burn her at the stake. I'm guessing that the pretty young witches were more popular than the old haggly ones, if you know what I mean. Oh, hey guys, there's a witch. Let's arrest her. Because after all, we are the law. We're like the Taliban. And we're going to take her into the dungeon and strip off her clothes. And she said, how old are you, witch? And the girl says, oh, I'm about 16 or 18 or so, maybe 20. And like, oh yeah, you're a witch. And you've got nice titties. And then they just proceed to do nasty things to her and draw and quarter her or twist her thumbs off or pinch her titties or, whip her ass a few 100,000 times or whatever. And then, fuck, because I'm going to fuck the devil out of you. And then after they've done with her and pretty much ruined her for life, forever. I mean, she's just done because she just fucked to death, pretty much. And then they take her out, put her on a stick, tie her to a pole, and then set fire to her and burn her up. Because we're just animals. Barbarians, animals, evil, disgusting. And these are common people. That's the funny part. They're just people. That's what passed for law and order back in those days. Those people were not smart. You understand? They were not mature, enlightened, smart, intelligent people, civilized. They weren't. They were just like, let's burn someone because, we think she's a witch. Yeah. As if there was such a thing as a witch, then or now. So, okay, get over it. I mean, that's just insane. And somebody said, oh, that good old days. Yeah, well, if I was the guy doing the witch thing, I mean, I could just walk around and say, oh, you're a witch. And, hey, you're cute, too. Aha! That must mean you're a witch, because nobody can be that normally beautiful. And you're young, too. You're like about 18. Oh, yeah, well, let's just forget about the fact that there's some sort of nonsense today about the number 18 being some kind of magical number. Oh, you're an adult now. That's just stupid, because nature, there is no such thing. Nature does not say, there's a number that goes for that. No, it doesn't exist. Human beings made that crap up, like they make up practically everything else. Like, that this Christian God thing. They just made that up. Bingo, made it up. Total fairy tale, made it up. And they're, in their insane minds. Not real. Anyway. So we've got people that are like, Anyway, it boggles the mind. So I was saying, I'm not just some guy, by the way. I'm not. And you don't have to agree with that. I don't give a fuck. Because I'm not. Among other things, I am the exception to the rulers. And I take objection to the rulers. And basically it's like they are them and I am me. And law enforcement is a word you just don't use in a free country, because basically the government, or the cops, as it were, simply don't have the authority to go around enforcing anything. This is one of those examples of people being conditioned to accept certain conditions and certain ideas and certain rules and laws and so on, accepting it even though it's absolutely unacceptable. Like police officers, like the acting like a Taliban and, beating the crap out of you because you're not wearing your burqa. Taliban, law enforcement. Remember that. So let's switch over to the other time when law enforcement was a word. Nazis. And they had the Gestapo, and they had the SS, they had the Stasi, and the police were a part of that. So what you have is basically law enforcement being in Nazi Germany, for example. They were the law enforcement there. That's the word you would use to describe. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the German people, the German government used the phrase law enforcement when they were talking about, the cops. I can see a problem there. Can you? Are you, is your mind's eye actually open? So, in America, law enforcement, and that's supposed to get me some kind of warm feeling in my dick. Sorry. Taliban word, Nazi word. You don't use that for, two words, law enforcement. Just don't use that in a free society because the cops don't enforce any damn thing. Technically speaking, they're officers of the court, and they do what the court tells them. Like the court says, here's a warrant to arrest this guy who murdered 14 people. Take the warrant in hand, piece of paper with a signature from a judge. I don't mean rubber stamped. I mean a real signature with a real hand, with a real pen on the paper. And then you take that paper from the order from the court, which is the judge, and you find the guy that murdered 14 people and you arrest him. And then you haven't enforced anything yet, and you take him to the jail and they fingerprint him and do all that stuff. And let's assume you have some evidence, because if you don't have evidence, then why are you arresting the guy? So, okay, you have evidence that says, yeah, we've got 50 witnesses that says, yeah, I saw him murder those 14 people. And you did nothing to stop him? What's wrong with you people? We're just people. We don't know anything about that. Yeah, right. That's called mediocre citizenship. You saw a crime, you did nothing. That's called being inhuman. Pretty much. On the other hand, human behavior says, I'm not going to get involved because I might get myself fucking killed. Yeah, that's understandable. You're thinking more of yourself than that poor person being murdered. Call that arrogant. All right. Law enforcement, don't use that phrase. Not in America. If you want to use the phrase, reserve it for talking about Nazis and Taliban. Come on. I mean, it's obvious. How stupid. And people just, I don't want to use that phrase. No. You use that phrase, you've been brainwashed. You've been indoctrinated, conditioned to think, oh yeah, that's what that means. No, it doesn't mean cops. It means fucking Nazi bastards. It means police state. Don't use that phrase. Just don't. Unless you're talking about how evil it is. In which case, go ahead. Say it like I did just now. The term law enforcement means fucking Nazi police state bastards. Oh, by the way, for those people who think, oh, there's some good cops. No, they're not. If you belong to a club like, let's say, the KKK, I belong to the KKK. What do they call those people? I'm a Klans person. I'm a Klansman. I belong to the KKK. Now, I'm not saying I am. I'm not. I mean, I'm anything but that. I don't know. I'm not wrong. Oh, I'm a member of the KKK, and yay for you. Because let's just accept that as okay. And, like, oh, I'm a good person. I belong to the KKK, and I'm not a bad person. Not all KKK members are bad people. Let's just consider the concept of what the KKK is. Evil. Murdering, terrorists, bad, evil people. Barbarians. Crazy, insane, stupid people. So if you belong to the KKK, you're bad. Period. Because that's the whole concept of being in that criminal, evil organization. And I have my doubts that there are too many people in America today who would actually claim to be a member of the KKK. I mean, I guess there probably are. There are a lot of crazy, stupid, crazy, insane people in America. This is obvious. That's not an opinion. That's an observation. Don't use the words law enforcement when you're referring to American. Well, actually, they have become law enforcement, haven't they? Because they do things to people, innocent people, like, I'm going to beat the crap out of you or shoot you in the back because I'm a cop and I got a gun and I can do it. I'm allowed because I'm a fucking Nazi bastard. And get away with it because the American justice system isn't just. And it doesn't do anything about people like cops murdering people in the streets of America. I'm guessing that's like probably unheard of since like 1820. You know, the cowboys. A quick observation. The TV show, The Lone Ranger and Tonto, which probably wouldn't be politically correct today, would it? Sad. Anyway, I won't get into that right now. An observation is that, to my knowledge, The Lone Ranger on the TV show, if you remember it, it's probably in reruns, you could probably see it somewhere. Damn good show. Entertaining. Not always politically correct. Ever since Tonto, duh, you know what I mean? He never killed anybody. He'd shoot the gun out of their hand, which probably caused some damage to their hand forever. Just think of the statistics there. The logistics of the odds of actually shooting somebody, like, you know, here comes Lone Ranger, pulls out both of his guns with his silver bullets, and one in each hand, and goes bam, bam, and shoots the gun out of the other guy's hand. I mean, two bad guys. Both got bam, bam, guns shot right out of their hand. Both of them. And there's no blood, because you know there's going to be blood if you shoot a guy's freaking bullet through a freaking guy's hand. I mean, come on. Not allowed back in those days. That was sort of a politically correct for retards back then in TV land. And, you know, you couldn't have a husband and wife actually lay on the same bed together. I mean, one foot had to be on the floor or some shit. Looking back, it was naive and stupid and childish and ridiculous. It wasn't real. Nobody acts like that. I had the same thing with modern day shows and stuff. People are still doing things like, here's a man and a woman in bed, and they've just had sex, which you saw them actually, you know, him on top of her, humping her a little, and you actually, you know, watched that simulated sex going on, which could very well be real for all we know. I wasn't there. And then when they're done, and they both flop back on the bed, and, you know, very carefully cover up the boobs of the woman, because you know she's naked under there. Probably not. But anyway, yeah. So she grabs the blanket or the sheet and she pulls it up over and covers her breast and holds her hand over her breast to keep the blanket there when she sits up in the bed. You know, like she gets startled by what the guy said that's laying next to her, and she jumps up in the bed and looks at him, you know, turns her body around and looks at him, and she's got her hand on her chest with a blanket in between covering up her breasts and saying, "My husband of 20 years, I'm surprised, I'm shocked that you would say such a thing to me. Like it's my turn to fix breakfast," or whatever. And, you know, like, totally unnatural, because what woman does that? I mean, you just had sex with a guy. You know, he's just ate your pussy, and you've just sucked his dick, and then you know, fucked him, and then you got on top, and you rode him like a fucking horse, and came all over the place. And he's like, squeezed your nipples, one in each hand, going, you know, and loving it, because like breasts are like really awesome, and, you know, and tweaking your nipples, and you're like having orgasms out your ass. And yet, after all that, which you probably did without blankets or sheets, you probably did that bareback. I mean, like you probably threw the blankets and stuff on the floor, because you're just humping and pumping and fucking and banging and screwing and to your high wildest contents, and then all of a sudden after all that, yeah, you're worried about your you're worried about your tits showing on camera. You just fucked a guy and you were naked, and so was he, and you could see everything and he could see everything, and he was playing with your tits, and all of a sudden, this man in the room, that's the only person in the room, it's a movie about two people in a room in a bed. Forget the fact there are cameramen and sound people and lighting people. That's irrelevant because they're not in the room. Not in real life. You're trying to be realistic about this movie. Like, this is a scene that's important to the movie plot. And, don't let us see your boobs on fucking camera. So hold the blanket over yourself. Like, really? I've been in bed with a few women. I won't say a lot. By comparison to myself, yeah, sort of a lot. But anyway, I've never had that happen. If I can see her boobs while she's sitting on top of me, straddling me and riding my dick, and her tits are there and they're bouncing, and I'm holding on to them for dear life, squeezy, squeezy, needy, pinchy, pinchy, punchy, punchy, sucky, sucky, punch, what? Punch? No punch, no, unless you're drinking it. Don't punch people. Particularly don't punch women. It's not nice. Really, it's not nice. Don't do it. But then you've seen him. She's sitting on top of you. You're both butt naked, and she's riding your cock, and she's going, oh God, it feels good. Oh God. And she has an orgasm, and her boobs are like on boom, 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 and you're seeing them. Laying there on the bed, and you're the only two people in a room, supposedly, since it's a movie about two people in a room by themselves having sex. And then, with that being said, then all of a sudden, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, I gotta cover my boobs up because my husband might see them. Like, he didn't just suck them, play with them, tweak them, tweet them, and squeeze them, and play with them and shit all last night. For 3 hours last night. And with the lights on. Amazing enough. And then all of a sudden, bingo, nope, my husband can't see my tits. Now, I know that, they don't want to show tits on a freaking TV show because that's kind of like illegal or taboo or some damn thing. Yeah, right, wrong. No. It's not believable. No woman who's... I've been married to this guy for 20 years, and you know what? I don't give a shit if he sees my tits or not. Because, last night or like 5 seconds ago, we were fucking each other, and and I was bouncing tits all over the place. But all of a sudden, when I wake up and get up, I got to talk to her, and then cover up the boobs because that's a natural, instinctive thing to do. Not in that circumstance, no. Maybe if the cops burst into the room with guns drawn, and then maybe you would cover your breasts up if you were a woman, like terrified and scared to death because the freaking Taliban just bumped into your room. But not in reality. Okay? And movies should be somewhat believable. I mean, why do I want to watch a movie? Because it's believable. Even though probably just an imaginary thought came to some guy's mind that wrote the screenplay. Alright. Time's up, gotta go. Hate that. Wasn't done yet. I'll have to do another segment, I guess. Shit. That's not. It's okay. Just remember, this is the show. This is the show, the podcast, the radio show, whatever you want to call it. This is the show that the mindbenders warned you about. Because I tell it. Yes, I do. D. McClung, Archer Monologues. Tune in again and share this. Share this with everybody. Get the message out. Wake some people up. Stir some pots. Terrorize the government. Yes. Catch you later.